Specifically with the sewer system, we spoke to Bill Stowe at length about that on our show. That was episode number 11, I believe, where he came on the show and talked about gave an update on the status of our sewer system. Number 63 concerned 3 replacement catch basin cleaner trucks for use by Public Works Department Sewers Division. The cost of that was $1,147,482. They sent that out for bid for 6 bidders. 5 bids came back. The winning bid was for Tour. That was actually the staff recommendation for purchase of their trucks. They're more expensive in the short term, but less expensive in the long term, apparently. And they met every bid spec, and this is according to Bill Stowe. VACCON, the low bid, also spoke. They did not meet every bid spec, but they did protest that the bid as it existed, as it was written, actually preferred the design of one bidder over another. And so Drains Iowa Equipment also spoke. A lot of people brought documents, a lot of people brought their opinions and expressed them, and then a lot of people had concerns. I think safety, reliability, and cost are all issues that everyone wanted to address. And so 2 things came out that seemed to cause a lot of concern: the lack of a pre-bid meeting and then the lack of a post-bid meeting. For a lot of reasons, the result on that issue was that it was sent back to the city manager and the staff for clarification. The bids will stand for 60 days, and so that issue will be ongoing and will be addressed. So the council meeting was pretty interesting that night. The next city council meeting is going to be Monday, February 28th. And it's a great way to see how the city of Des Moines works, how decisions are made, what the issues are beyond our own front doors in our own neighborhoods. What are people in other neighborhoods and other city departments dealing with, and how that all comes together in order to make our city work. There are a lot of issues that come into play with every decision, and so the city council is the body, the elected body, that we appoint to address those issues. So we do have some headlines. The first one, well, actually all of them come from the Des Moines Register. All the headlines come from the Des Moines Register. Lots going on in the city, lots of issues, and so the focus is centered on Central Iowa. The first one, tax repercussions seen in downtown vacancies. Last week, Blue.Green.Fusion went on location and actually filmed a lot of these vacancies. Earlier that last week, or this past week, the Des Moines Register also addressed those issues with a pretty big spread there. This is from Thursday, February 10th. They're talking about the Ruan Center, the Hub Tower, the former J.C. Penney's building, the Des Moines building. High vacancy rates in downtown Des Moines are expected to push down Polk County's commercial values for the first time in at least 30 years and reduce tax revenues, officials say. The effect of the new assessments will likely be significant, said Des Moines leaders, already reeling from a proposal by Governor Terry Branstad to cut commercial property taxes 40% over 5 years. Homeowners could see higher costs to provide government services with the commercial reductions, according to City Manager Rick Clark. He goes on, I don't want or recommend that, but it's a potential byproduct of these large reductions, he said. Branstad's commercial real estate plan will cut $500 million in revenue from cities, counties, and schools over 5 years. Des Moines would lose $26 million annually under that proposal, according to Clark. The governor proposes replacing half the lost revenue to local governments. It doesn't say how. Branstad also expects the reduction in commercial rates phased in over 5 years for existing companies would spark new investment and generate added revenue to local governments. And there's a little bit more. The metro area must add jobs to significantly shrink vacancies, an area that's lagged in the sluggish recovery. This is because the incentives and savings and breaks and other types of ways our government, both, well, actually at the federal level and apparently now at the state level, all these inducements to help our commercial large corporations save businesses, or even small businesses save money and then create jobs, they've been using that actually to create jobs in other states, in other cities, or actually in other nations, in other countries, and then also using that to buy equipment and supplies rather than paying human capital. So we can provide these incentives, but what these businesses and corporations do with those incentives is not necessarily tied to the money, and I think that's part of the problem, that there has to be a string attached on how the business will be able to use that incentive. So just a thought. And so that's that article. There's also another article, layoffs down significantly, but hiring isn't picking up. And that just kind of ties into what we just saw with the past article. This is from Tuesday, February 8th, Des Moines Register. If you're unemployed, good luck. Finding a job remains a struggle 20 months after the recession technically ended. Employers won't likely step up hiring until they feel more confident about the economy. Eventually, consumer spending will rise high enough that companies will need to accelerate hiring to keep up with demand. In the meantime, a fading fear of layoffs is likely helping the economy. It's encouraging consumers who have jobs to spend more. Yet, employers still aren't ready to start hiring aggressively. Businesses have created an average of just 82,000 net jobs each month over the past year. That's fewer than half the number a strong economy would be expected to create. It's why so many unemployed people have been left stranded, unable for many months to land jobs. Eventually, employers will find they can't keep squeezing ever higher output from their slimmed-down staffs that survived the recession. Stronger customer demand will require more workers. Even then, many of the unemployed may be left out. That's because even companies that must hire will often avoid unemployed applicants, especially those who have been out of work for many months. Some employers worry that workers lose skills when they're idle for months. They also fret that formerly unemployed workers wouldn't stay long in a new job, especially if it carried less pay and stature than their old jobs, and that they'd quit once a better opportunity arose. All right.